Hello, I'm Patrick Sullivan, designer on the Eternal card game over here at Direwolf Digital, and it is my pleasure to be joined by the Collector, a former Worlds competitor, and more recently a qualifier for this year's World Championship due to two top four finishes in our Opens this year. How you doing, and congratulations.
Doing pretty good, thanks.
So obviously this is not your first interview as someone who's already qualified for it. So a lot of the sort of introductory, how'd you get started stuff is a matter of the public record. When we made the decision to move to two top fours for qualification, part of it was to take the sting away from, just missing and feeling like you could sort of accumulate some milestones over time, but also because, in my opinion, and other people's opinion on the team as well, two top fours is actually a much harder accomplishment than winning one. How are you feeling, I guess, about being able to put up that level of consistency and already qualify for Worlds this coming year?
Feeling pretty good about it. Like, it's nice to have kind of the pressure off of qualifying again. Like, I've made every World so far, and I'm gonna keep trying as long as they keep having these. So it's nice to be able to say I'm already qualified.
So you qualified the most recent Open. Do you want to talk about kind of your testing process for that event?
So, I mean, for a lot of our testing, it's just kind of, we all have a team Discord. We all get in the Discord, whether play some games or, just play individually on ladder and post your deck list with how you did and like, what you think your matchups were like. There's just a lot of that leading up to the event, we've worked a little bit with WeStream games as well. So there's a little bit of deck that's going back and forth there. Yeah, just, some team collaboration. So
I'm curious, how do you find, the Friday, Saturday Open runs compared to the ladder? Is the metagame and sort of the player quality roughly the same, or do you notice a difference between the two?
The day one of the events, the Friday Saturday is pretty often comparable to the ladder. Like you'll often see like Stone Scar be very popular on ladder, and then it will continue to be popular day one of the event. Day two often seems a bit different just because like the decks that people are expecting, like the aggro decks, don't tend to do nearly as well, and at least I found the more experienced players don't tend to take the super linear aggro decks because they're not as good in open deck this because okay, I got a mulligan from our early cards and whatnot. But yeah, day one tends to reflect that pretty well.
Is it, besides sort of the what you mentioned about the aggressive strategies maybe suffering a little bit due to open deck lists, is there any sort of metagame considerations or card choices that you give sort of a different priority to when you're talking about open deck lists versus games on the ladder or what have you?
Yeah, so like as far as the open deck this go, like there be some combo decks which sometimes we love to play. Like I was a big fan of eggs and magic. But you try to take those to Eternal for the the day two of the open deck list, and it's just not nearly as strong. Like I know in this past Throne one of her teammates, GT 100, was first seeing like the Kanya Fair Exchange combo. And because it was open deck list, he knew that okay, I can just go to 6 every time. I find a Tokus, I drop it on turn 3, and my opponent literally can't win. There's nothing you can do. So the open deck list definitely come into play for what you're willing to bring. Like maybe you're more willing to play a one of, whereas like in the ladder you might just want consistency. But when you have open deck list, going, well, I could have this pause or this pause, could make them think and make your opponent either play around something you don't have or just make them at least consider it, right?
Right. So what do you imagine kind of the shape of your participation in organized play to look like for the remainder of the year? Obviously, for players as competitive as yourself, getting to the World Championships is a huge goal. You've accomplished that with months to spare. And so is it sort of easing off the opens a little bit, or is that still just valuable from a testing perspective, from keeping your, sort of game shape up, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'll definitely like still be playing in them and like helping my team out with some testing. I'll probably be a bit more likely to bring like, quote, like fun decks to events, like not necessarily, planning on doing super well, but I wanted to play. Like last year I brought scavenger combo to an open after I was already qualified. Didn't quite do very well with it, but I had fun. So
okay. Would it be possible? Is there any chance that the next time there's a Throne one, that I could send you my mono shadow even mid range deck, so I could
Sure.
get it like some real world reps or whatever?
All
So I
right.
watch these things, and it is like really painful for me at times watching these things and being like, obviously, I love the work that I do and all that, but like, I would love to play one of these.
Oh
Or
yeah.
I would love to just like give my deck list to someone and have them play in one of these. So if I get you on board for that, I would be absolutely thrilled.
Sure. Just send it over.
All right, will do. Um, at this point, I think it's good to kind of open up the floor for you to us. This is actually kind of becoming my favorite part of these interview segments, and this one's a little truncated one because we're sort of just like we have some extra stuff, we have some extra interviews we're doing because we have additional people qualified
Yeah.
outside the opens, and two, because you've done so many of these already. A lot of the sort of getting to know you questions are a little bit rote. So, the last couple of interviews that I've done, which I don't even know if they're up yet or not, but the Q&A sessions actually have been like pretty long and pretty interesting. So I would like to run that back if you're game.
Sure. I mean, I actually made a small list of questions. I know some of them will be outside of, what you kind of do as a designer, but
Sure.
if you can either say like yes, no, or sorry, I can't tell you, whatever. And I've been enjoying draft. Like, I know you saw your interview with Tens, and there was a lot of discussion about taunt there. Some of it, agree with, some of it I didn't, but
Well, I mean, is there something
well, like
you'd like to ask that's sort of related to
I don't
that?
know.
Because
So it sounded like in the interview, from what I remember, you were saying that taunt in limited creates a lot of like interesting situations about being able to attack and not attack, right? Um,
some
or
of the range is the right way to play around it some amount of the time is attack with everything. So like you're taking taunt out of the equation. A lot of times the answer is sit back with everything, because the more agency you have in terms of double blocks, the less again that it matters if something has taunt. And sometimes those paths materialize at the same time, like both are considerations at the same time. And that sort of decision tree materializing is novel, even acknowledging that sometimes some of the play patterns with taunt or repeat taunt can be like certainly frustrating some of the range.
yeah, just the pattern I've noticed most often is you always have to leave your best unit back if they have a taunt unit, so that way you can protect the rest of your board that you're trying to play out that turn.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's true as part of the range. My
right,
experience has been it's been fuzzy and noisy enough and sort of
sure,
contextual that there's no like this is the thing that's happening all the time. If there was like a, oh, this is the thing that's happening all the time, we would change a bunch of cards, because like the goal is that different situations materialize based on what's going on in the game and what you're playing around. And sometimes the answer is A, and sometimes it's B, and sometimes it's C. And that doesn't mean that like your opponent's cards are going to be powerful for them. Sometimes it's not like you pick the right path and then you get to win the game necessarily, but that thinking about how you want to play around things, what you want to bluff, whatever, is at least like stimulating and different from game to game.
I know Eternal's like 6, 7 years old now, something like that. And there are a lot of quality of life stuff people have been asking for since even closed beta. And just kind of want to know if we can ever expect them, like, if people, like auto-muting opponents. I know that's a big one and have caused some of my friends to quit the game. The ability to open all packs, open all Twitch drops. Like, again, I've had some friends like watch a streamer for a few months after not playing, and they come back and they have to sit there for 2 or 3 hours opening chests, and then they just quit and never play again because they don't want to sit through that. Um, you know, uh, Different formats for challenging friends, draft and sealed, giving your first one of the day bonus, things like that.
So obviously, like a lot of what you're asking about there is sort of in the proprietary space of things that
Yeah,
like I'm not at, but I hope that the change to draft rewards, the stuff with chapter battles, the reprints and boosters, and the sort of streamlining of Expedition that came recently, there is some signal here that we have a very long list of stuff that we are trying to tackle and improve, but there is sort of a hierarchy of needs slash
right. There
some of
always
these things
is.
are more efficient to do all at once because they're related rather than doing them piecemeal.
Yeah.
Without going into too much detail, like some of the things that you called out there are specifically things that are on our radar and our topics of conversation right now. So, again, it's like sort of proprietary. We can only
Yeah,
announce
I
it
get
when
it.
we actually have it. But, I've been back on the project now for almost a year. And I feel like, our design team has worked pretty hard in the last year to sort of critically identify elements of the economy, game engine, not so much game engine, but I guess a lot of the things sort of quality of life stuff as you're mentioning
Yeah.
that we are approaching in different ways and sort of tackling. So we have a sort of a broad mid-level picture of a lot of things that we want to improve about the experience on a bunch of different fronts. And then there's just an issue of coordinating and making sure that we're doing things in the right order, which is a complicated thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always okay, which bug can sit in the backlog for years while we work on more pressing ones. Like,
Well, there's also like stuff like, okay, let's say we all agree that we have this list of 10 things, and this thing is the most important thing of the 10.
mhm.
But if we do the second, third, and fourth ones all at the same time, that's actually more efficient because they're related. So we do 2, 3, 4, or do we do 1, 9, 10? Like that sort of coordination of resources and whatever is also part of it that goes into it.
Yeah, and
Sometimes the
sometimes
quality,
10 is
yeah,
a week to get done, and one takes multiple months. So better knock
yeah,
out 10 or hit one, right?
but for sure. And I think part of the like doing the stuff that we've been doing lately, one, I think is just good on its own terms, but two, sort of signaling a vibrancy and like we're doing stuff. This is active. We're trying to improve the experiences. It's really good signal to our players, both active and lapsed / have never played.
Yeah,
So we're trying to do all of it, I
yeah.
guess.
I mean, it's good to hear something's coming, or at least like trying to get something coming. So,
Yeah.
um, and then so more of a gameplay one. I know that a lot of card games, like for tournaments like day two, the higher seed would generally get to choose they want to play or draw. The choosing might be a bit of an issue on the client, but is there any reason why that the higher seed doesn't go first in day twos?
That's just I mean, I don't even know if we would I guess all other things being equal, we would probably want to do that. That's a somewhat of a tricky conversation because it sort of ties into how opaque the seating is to generate in the first place. But
Sure.
um I mean that's just like it's like pretty significant engineering costs. Just the
Okay,
short
I just
version
didn't
of
know
it.
if it was
Yeah.
a like tournament decision or if it was just like,
It's not an ideological thing.
right,
But again, it's a question of like, is this resource worth is this ad worth the resources applied? And that would be an example of something from and reasonable people could disagree on this. That would be really, really low on my list of things to allocate resources to versus anything else we could be doing with people's time.
for sure. Um, I I did have a question about a mechanic. I don't know. So revenge, right? Puts it in top 10 of cards to your deck. I know that I think
Mhm.
I've seen BK say like, if anything gets reworked ever, that'd be one of the top priorities. But as how it works at the moment, if the first time revenge triggers, if the unit has negative stats, it doesn't go back into the deck. Is there any reason why that happens? Because a lot of revenge units do have like ETB abilities or could trigger other things like a Tazboo from it dying or, you know.
I mean, the short version is that we want to be like not in the habit of reshuffling cards that are blank into people's decks. Like even for a trigger, it's sort of just dissatisfying to have an animation of your 0/0 pop up and then just go to a void, even if there are edge case interactions like the ones that you're talking about. Like and there's
Zito
also
being most
yeah,
notable right now.
and there's also a balance issue there too. Like we do like that if you permanently reduce Cito's stats, that actually gets you out from under it.
Right.
And in the world where it's coming back as a 0/0, most of the value is still nested in the fact that the opponent's discarding a card. Broadly speaking, it is something that we are, like it's a topic of conversation in the office, sort of the potential of investigating those rules or streamlining some of them. But to sort of answer the original question, I don't think we should be shuffling 0/0s back in people's decks, even if we occasionally make, Tazboos and Zetos that could benefit in one direction or the other from that sort of interaction occurring.
Right. Okay. I thought I had more questions. Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of much more right now. Like, I'll probably get off the call and go, oh, I should have asked this. But, like that always happens, right?
Yeah.
But
well, I'm in the Discord, so if something rattles around in there, you just tag me and I'll see if I can get to it.
sure.
But on our way out the door here, any shout outs you want to give in terms of teammates, testing, any sort of like the Twitch channels, streaming people can find you at, just anything you want to shout out or anyone you want to shout out, now is a good time.
Yep. My team are Bavarian Camp. I mean, I got a shirt here for it. I'm not gonna name individual names because I'll forget somebody and then it'll just be bad. But then also I occasionally stream on Twitch at walking_sponge. Don't stream too often, but once every couple of months you'll catch me streaming some drafts. And that's about it. So.
All right, well, thank you for your time. Congratulations again to the collector on qualifying for the World Championships a third time. This on the back of 2 top 4s within the first half of our open season in 2022. Just a remarkable accomplishment and an incredible amount of consistency, and looking forward to seeing you later this year.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, take care.
You too.